Hello everybody, my name is Jose Moreira. I'm going to talk about the tricuspid valve, which is an interesting topic, and I'm going to say you all the definition, the application in medicine, the pros and cons, and diseases. Let's go. Definition. Well, this valve is called tricuspid because it consists of three membranes that receive tissue from the wall of the right ventricle of the heart, and is located between the right atrial and the right ventricle.
The AV valves, or atrioventricular valves, have an atrium above them and a ventricle beneath them. This valve is the right AV valve because this is the right atrium and this is the right ventricle. So this then is the right AV valve. It has chordae tendineae attaching to the cusps and anchoring them into papillary muscles. The right AV valve has three cusps and is also known as the tricuspid.
Applications in medicine. The tricuspid valve is important because controls the passage of the blood from the right ventricle to the right atrium and prevents the return of the blood. If the blood don't return to the right atrium, we will have a problem in the contraction in the right atrium and the right ventricle. That's why the tricuspid valve have to open and close when our heart needs that.
A pump which must circulate blood through two different but interconnected vascular systems. The smaller of these systems is the pulmonary system. Blood returning from the upper part of the body is delivered to the right atrium of the heart by the superior vena cava, one of the body's two largest veins, while blood returning from the lower part of the body is delivered to the right atrium by the other major vein, the inferior vena cava.
Pros and cons of replacing the tricuspid valve technology by transcatheter. I put the benefits and the adverse events to make that. And the benefits are we will have a general or local anesthesia, the heart pumps normally, and the patient breathes independently. And the adverse events are heart attack, stroke, and death. The tricuspid valve has many diseases, but I put the most important for me, and I put tricuspid regurgitation and tricuspid stenosis. The tricuspid regurgitation is a backflow of blood from the lower right chamber and to the upper right chamber. That occurs for a tricuspid valve damage or an enlarged right ventricle. The blood returns to the veins and don't go to the lungs where it can pick up oxygen.
I'm Dr. Justin Davis, and today I would like to tell you about a condition called tricuspid regurgitation. Now, exactly what is tricuspid regurgitation? Well, first, before you can understand that, you have to understand a little bit more about the heart. The heart is divided into four sections: a left and a right, and an upper and a lower. Each of these sections is divided from another one by something called a valve. A valve, just like in plumbing, allows things to flow or in our case, allows blood to flow in one direction but prevents it from flowing backwards. And this is very essential so that the body can have a proper circulatory system and it doesn't flow backwards. Now, the tricuspid valve.
So this right is information that I said before to what is the cause of the tricuspid regurgitation. We will continue to what is the tricuspid stenosis. The tricuspid stenosis, it's just a blockage that prevents blood flow. It's a little definition about that. Finally, the tricuspid stenosis is usually associated with rheumatic fever and is not hereditary.
Okay, let's talk about tricuspid and pulmonary stenosis and regurgitation. We'll start out with tricuspid stenosis. And tricuspid stenosis, it's more common in females than male, and it can also happen from rheumatic heart disease. And you know, rheumatic heart disease is primarily in the mitral valve, but there's small percentage of chance that it can happen in the tricuspid, and that can also happen in the pulmonary valve. But whenever you think of rheumatic heart disease, you think of the mitral valve. And so what happened is that the stenosis, that the valve is just stenotic. It's stiff, it's hard, it doesn't open and close as properly as it should. You see here, you see blood just flowing through very easily. Here the valve is stiff and it's stenotic, so the blood has to go through a narrow passageway. So what happens is that, as you see here, there's very little blood coming through here, so that increases the pressure in the right atrium, and so there's right atrial hypertrophy, and also the right atrium becomes dilated, and it will contract stronger. And so, since there's no valve between the right atrium and the superior vena cava, then since there's so much blood and pressure here, the blood is going to backflow up the inferior vena cava, and then you're going to have prominent
Tricuspid valve repair. The instruments and sutures needed for this procedure are described in the workbook. The heart is prepared and mounted as shown. The right atrium is opened to expose the tricuspid valve.